So by now, everyone knows about the Lionel 2021 Volume 1 catalog and the rather interesting items it features. A few examples are the return of the Lionel Vision Line 2-10-10-2 after a more than 10-year hiatus, the return of the Lionel Veranda Turbine after almost 20 years being out of production. There's also the John Bull sets that make a return as well. Those haven't been produced since 2008. But possibly the biggest surprise to everyone is the return of the Acela high-speed train set and expansion pack. After a failed return in 2012, it's finally being offered again. But there's a big problem this time around. The price, which I will talk about in detail. For this video, I will talk about the first production run of the Acela, then talk about the previous release attempt in 2012, then talk about the big issue with the 2021 release, and finally close out the video with some of my personal thoughts. So yes, the Acela high-speed train set and expansion pack have finally made a return after the first release back in 2005. For those that might not know about Lionel's Acela, it's arguably the coolest set that was ever offered for O-scale. For something from 2005, the features list was absolutely out of this world. It has the fairly typical features from the time: an amazing sound system, fully automatic and motorized pantographs for each engine, and a very nicely done passenger cars. But that's where the typical features end, and where Lionel turned the action up to 11. The passenger cars also featured motorized doors that open on command through the Cab 1 remote. The passenger cars had figures installed from the factory, which is completely unheard of from back in the day. That's a throwback to the K-Line days. And the passenger cars also had a very cool motorized tilting mechanism for when the cars went around a turn. The station sounds were also incredibly well done, very accurate, very realistic. It made you feel like you were actually on the real train. On the surface, the set sounds amazing, but in reality, it wasn't all perfect. The set had numerous operating issues. The doors on the passenger cars had a tendency of jamming. The tilting mechanism also had a tendency of not working and failing outright. And the pantographs would also blow the board that controls them if any of the motors that drove them failed. There was also an issue with the model that made it a ticking time bomb to eventually cause the whole set to become nothing more than an expensive paperweight. But more on that later. After the disappointment that customers got with the first run of the Acela, Lionel promised that the next run they would release would improve upon all the major issues that the first release had. So in 2012, they offered the set again, this time upgraded with legacy control, legacy rail sounds, and promised improvements to the motorized doors to reduce jamming. The new release also came with one less passenger car in the main set and only a 2-car expansion pack. But the prices for both the main set and expansion pack were reduced to reflect the downgrade. $1,700 for the main set and $500 for the expansion pack. Also, I should add in as well the first. Also, I should add as well that the first release had a MSRP of $2,000 for the main set and $750 for the 3-car expansion pack. But of course, the 2012 release would never see the light of day. Lack of orders forced Lionel to cancel its release for a future date. The bitter taste the original TMCC Acela left for customers was enough for much less people to place orders on the 2012 release. And Lionel's TCA open house for spring 2019, Ryan Kuckel, I think that's how you pronounce it, Knuckle, I probably butchered it twice, but in any case, got a question regarding a possible return of the Acela, and he said that it's likely a 2021 release. Fast forward to 2021, and the Acela was on the cover for the 2021 Volume 1 catalog, along with many other fantasy paint schemes which I will not discuss too much in detail for this video. So with the history of the Acela out of the way, let me talk about the elephant in the room. That being the disappointment I'm hearing about this release of the Acela. People appear to be very happy to see the return of the set and expansion pack, but at the same time, people are scared away by the price of the main set compared to the features it's lacking. $2,500 for the main set is a very hard pill to swallow, and it would be somewhat justified with this new release being as feature rich as the original. But is it? Nope. Lionel decided to take out the motorized function for the doors on the passenger cars for this run, which would have been perfectly fine if the price reflected the downgrade, but it doesn't. In fact, the only notable improvements from the first run is that both engines are now powered, which I feel is a very welcome upgrade. Then that should make the set operate much smoother with 6 total passenger cars in between the engines. The engines still retain the motorized pantographs and each have a full sound system, as well as a full lighting package. They're also going to be redesigning the trucks for the engines to allow the traction tires to be changed out much easier. But even with the upgrades to the engine, that still does not justify a $500 price increase from the first release. Just for the main set alone, mind you. For the price they are asking, I would expect the motorized doors to still be in place. I fully understand from the live stream that they did a few days ago that they are trying to make this a much simpler set and make it so that you can set it up on your layout and have it work perfectly every single time. But they really should set the price to take into account the downgrades. The way I see it, the set plus the expansion pack is very close to the Alco PA products from pages 24 to 27. If you add up the prices of the Alco PA locomotives, one car out of the 2-car pack, which would be around $185 for a single car, plus the Station Sounds Diner, plus the 4-pack, that will add up to a total cost of a bit more than $2,300. Seeing that the Acela engines have a few more standout features, mainly the motorized pantographs, both engines have sound installed, where the Alco PA engines have a single sound system in one of the engines, and the passenger cars have pre-installed figures. I'll tack on $300 on top of that price tag I just mentioned. That would make a total cost of the main set and expansion pack to be $2,600. $900 less than what they are currently asking. I am by no means an expert on pricing, but from what I can see, this would be a much more realistic price to go by, given that the Acela is very close to the Alco PA items I just mentioned. I hope that Lionel will take this into consideration for a possible price decrease on the Acela items before the pre-order deadline comes. So now some closing thoughts from me. I am by no means a Lionel fanboy, or as the kids like to use nowadays, a shill. I do have quite a bit of items from Lionel and I'm personally very happy with them, but I can agree to an extent that the prices are getting a bit out of hand in certain cases, and this is especially prevalent with the upcoming Acela items. In the case of the Acela items, I feel they could do better for us by being a bit more reasonable with the suggested retail prices. I do have a pre-order put in place for both the main set and the expansion pack, not because I agree with the prices, but that really there isn't any other option in terms of an Acela for O-scale. Remember when I said the original TMCC Acela has a major issue that makes it a ticking time bomb, essentially? That major issue is zinc rot. The truck journal boxes for the powered unit and possibly the unpowered unit are now starting to show issues with those parts literally crumbling apart 15 years after production. My real-life friend, Tomix N-Scale, recently discovered his TMCC Acela has that same issue after I brought it up to him. Pretty much all of the truck journal boxes are falling apart and he cannot operate the set because the wheel sets are designed with axles that go into the journal boxes. With the journal boxes breaking apart, the driven wheels will bind up randomly and make the set almost impossible to operate without having to constantly help it along. I was originally considering skipping out on the 2021 Acela items, purchasing all the items related to the TMCC Acela, and doing some reliability upgrades and updates to the electronics. But after finding out about the zinc rot issues with the trucks and that replacement parts are no longer available, that plan was quickly cancelled. And don't forget as well, even if those parts are still available, who's to say how long they will last before having to be replaced again? So Tomix, N-Scale, and I are currently out of luck, and we are basically forced to get the new release of the Acela. So as you probably can see, people will still likely pre-order the Acela items, but they aren't necessarily going to be happy with the prices. I guess in this situation we are lucky that some hobby shops are cutting people a lot more slack than usual on the pre-order price for the Acela items, but I still feel it should not have to come down to relying on hobby shops to cut us more slack to get the items we want at more reasonable prices. I'm going to close out this video with this. I understand you, the viewer that is watching this video right now, are likely very angry and or very annoyed with the subject that this video is about. But I highly suggest refraining from attacking Lionel in relation to this. Let's try and keep anything related to this civil, or we will not be able to get our points across to them that the prices of the Acela items are not quite to everyone's liking. For that reason, any comments on this video that are clearly written in anger or are for venting purposes will be automatically deleted by me. I want this video to be formal and to set a good example to Lionel. If you want to, you can share this video to them so that they could watch it and hopefully get the message. I'm not expecting this video to have them change their minds immediately, but hopefully the video will get the point across to them that they should take some kind of action related to the Acela sets in terms of pricing. So that'll pretty much be it for the end of this video. I will make a follow-up video if there is indeed action taken with the pricing on the Acela items for 2021. Thanks for watching. Catch you all later.